shot. That's okay.
Brushless and brushed motors?
And everything's on can.
I don't care.
You are large, but it's all the way over there.
Correct. And one thing I might add there is.
Hey, so I'm Noah, and
I'm David.
and we are on the programming team for Full Moon Robotics, and we're going to show you how to, from an empty Windows environment, go straight into Java programming for the 2020 build season. So the first thing that you want to do is download the WPI installer. So this is, we already have everything downloaded just for brevity here, but we're going to run the WPI lib installer. This will install VS Code, which is your IDE, and it should install the libraries for all of your NI devices. We got this from the WPI GitHub. Okay, so that's where we got the installer from. This is basically the only thing you'll need for this tutorial. So we'll run the installer. It downloaded to a zip file. And it should take a little bit to self-extract and then install. This is going to install VS Code. It's going to install the libraries from WPI. WPI's libraries will contain most of the standard motor controllers and standard sensors. If you need anything else that's advanced, we're going to go through an example on that today. But anything that's like CAN bus or like more obscure sensors or devices, we'll have to install those libraries manually. So this self-extracting installer should work pretty soon.
But yeah, with the WPI library, it only has the PWM signals for the motor controller. So if you're going to use CAN bus, you're going to have to go to CTR's website, Robotics, or wherever manufacturer makes your motor controllers, and you're going to have to download the drivers from there. Well, not drivers, but, well, I guess they could be considered drivers.
Drivers, libraries for your programming
libraries.
Yeah. We probably should have extracted this before we started the stream. That's okay. We'll be installing this, and we will have to download Robotics and Visual Studio Code, but we've already done that beforehand. You'd have to download that. It will take a little bit of time. So this is self-extracted. We're going to install it for all users, and we're going to run through what that looks like. So you want to make sure you have all three of these checked. Technically, if you're only going to use Java or C++, you don't need the other one, but we're going to go ahead and install them all, just so there's everything installed in case there are some dependencies. You're going to hit this Select, Download, and VS Code button. And what you would do is download this, but we already have it downloaded, so we're going to select it. It takes a while to download, so we're going to select that from what we have already downloaded. And then make sure all three of these checkboxes are checked. That'll install all the tools and dependencies and execute the installation. This should not take too long. And again, if you have any more libraries to install, that's for, well, everything should be on there is like talons and victors. All the PWM controls for those controllers are already installed in the libraries. If you're doing a different environment, say it's LabVIEW, then there's a different install process, and you can find resources all over for doing that. One thing to note about a lot of the things we're going to install, you're going to have to tie your team number to these installations, especially like for the radio or for the Rio or for new projects you're making. So the team number must be consistent across all of the devices and the installations and the code that you write, or else nothing will work. So the drive station looks for your team number on the RoboRio, and the RoboRio can only communicate with the radio if the radio is formatted with the correct team number. So make sure that whatever you do for your team, that is consistent across all of your devices. An interesting note about the radio itself, and you can chime in on this if you need to. For programming on your own, you will usually program over Ethernet and plug in an Ethernet or USB cable into your robot to program it like locally. But If you want to program it wirelessly or drive it wirelessly, you will need to reprogram your radio for like developmental use or for like build season use. Once you go to competition or you're at an event, the field staff there will reprogram your radio, and that will make it only work on the field. And so if you want to go back home and do another event or like a presentation with your robot, you'll need to either reprogram your radio again for development or testing use, or have a separate radio, one for field and one for using at home.
Yeah. That's.
Oh, and fun fact, you can rename your radio's like Wi-Fi signal so that you know what you're connecting to when you're at the testing environment.
Yeah, at like testing environments and at like your own shops and stuff like that. I know I've always renamed radios and stuff so we know which one is still flashed to field stuff and whatnot. Well, once it's flashed from the field, it's going to be whatever your team number is for both the name and the actual flash of it for the team number assigned to it.
So shortly after this downloads, we'll go through an example of installing a library manually into VS Code. We're going to use the Spark Max motor controller libraries that we got from Robotics. We will use the Spark Maxes. Are those in the kit part?
No, the Spark Maxes are compatible with the Neo brushless motors. They are the Neo 211685, I believe. They were the first brushless motor released for FRC use, and we will be using 6 of them on our drivetrain, 3 of them on each side for a West Coast drivetrain. So, and we will be using CAN bus for them, so we will have to download a separate library so we can pull CAN bus information. So, yeah.
You'll see a lot of those libraries installs and us coding those motor controllers in a later stream, probably tomorrow. We're doing the final installation here, fill up little green bar, and then we'll hop into installing libraries manually. So Robotics provides a library for their Spark Max motor controllers and for basically every one of their motor controllers. We've already downloaded that here. And so the Spark Max motor controller has an SDK for Java. We're just going to extract those files to the desktop so we can use them easily. I'm going to browse on that and extract to our desktop. This is the final installation of VS Code running. Makes its own little command prompts. So there's the extraction, and there's VS Code installed. We'll take what just extracted, and we'll copy it. And then we're going to navigate to wherever
The WPI library.
WPI library installed itself. So in this case, it's in
most cases.
Most cases, it's going to be in users on your C drive, public, and then WPI lib. I'm going to take those 2 folders in your current year and paste them. And that will basically tell when VS Code scans for libraries, it'll see those and install them for you when it boots up. So we're going to open up VS Code by clicking FRC VS Code 2020. This is going to be our programming environment for the rest of the season. And here it is. So what we're going to do is create a new WPI project, a new FRC project. So that's Control-Shift-P to open the command terminal up at the top. And then we go WPI LIB colon, and then create, and then it should say create a new project up top. Create a new project, and then we follow the prompts that it helpfully gives us to make a new project. Right now we're going to make a template so that we have all the framework in place to code a robot, and we're going to do it in Java. This is C++ and Java. We're doing it in Java. And for our team, we want to use the command style programming, which sits command style. We're going to create a new project folder. We'll call it And again, be very consistent with your team names. The project folder, not really, but be consistent. We'll call it 1887. That's our team name, code for 2020, and select that folder. Our project name we'll call Robot Code. And again, you can name this whatever you want, really, but be sure that in the team number field, you put your team number, 1887. Click Generate Project, and that should generate a blank project that we can fill out with our own code and fill in with our own libraries. So that created our new project here on the left side. Here it is. And so this should automatically start building on the bottom terminal here. So if we go to our source and hit Java, and we'll mess with deploy later, maybe tomorrow. Main.java and robot.java are going to be our main places we're going to put code, mostly in robot.java. And everything is highlighted. There's no weird squiggly lines underneath any of these imports, so we know the library is installed correctly. Yeah, and so once this builds, and we get the green light here that it says build complete, then we know that everything is installed correctly, and we're ready to start programming our robot. So later, we'll stream how to program these Spark Max motor controllers, how to get a tank drive system working, and hopefully how to install a little bit more libraries about CAN bus, and get the rest of the robot working and ready to go for future expansion, especially with future mechanisms. So, almost done with the compilation here, and it should do it by itself. At least the first time you open it or create it. And there it is. Build successful in green. And then there is one yellow error, but it's just about something we haven't even used yet, which is a subsystem. And so we'll get to that later. That's how you take a blank Windows installation and prepare it for programming in Java.